All right, we are live. How is it going? It is Thursday, November 7th, 2024, and I am the Salty Boomer. And what I do here is scroll X and let's see here. Ah, come on. Well, I blew it on that one. Let's see if I can go over here and do this. That's the problem of being live. Sometimes things don't go as I plan them to. Anyway, how do I get that back up here? We're going to try and mess around here for a second and see if I can get this up here. Bear with me here for a second as I try and figure this out. We'll get there one of these days. Let me try something else here. I can't see. Okay, there is that. Okay, there we go. Now I can see what's going on. All right. We waste about 5 minutes there. Okay. Anyway, I am the Salty Boomer, and what I like to do here is come on live every day, Monday through Friday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And we scroll X and see what's going on in the news and current events and talk about it as it's happening live. And that's what we do here. So, with that said, let's take a look at some things that I found earlier that I believe will be interesting. And the first one is from Clandestine. And he says, Democrats, if you're wondering why America voted for Trump, allow me to explain. Excuse me. Allow me to explain. The truth is, the American people are sick of your shit. You ruined our nation and our culture. You openly mocked, belittled, and discriminated against us. Then you called us racist, misogynist, Nazis when we started noticing. You defiled and corrupted all of our great institutions to include the media, social media, technology, academia, intelligence, health, pharma, Hollywood, entertainment, sports, everything. You weaponized every aspect of American life and used it to push your insane far left agenda down our throats. That's exactly right. You told us Trump was a Russian asset that was going to start World War III and would be worse than Hitler. Then you used that as an excuse to justify hatred towards Trump supporters and to riot in the streets. You used it as an excuse to obstruct and ruin Trump's entire first term. And it turned out it was all a lie. Then, During COVID, you demanded we all be forced to take medical experimentation without testing. You wanted dissenters locked in prison. You wanted children taken from their anti vax parents. You wanted the anti vax in camps. You were rooting for our deaths. Then it turned out you were wrong about everything from the man made origin to masks to vaccines to social distancing to ivermectin to HCQ to natural immunity and everything in between. Then, during Ukraine, you told us that Ukraine was a bastion of democracy and that they desperately needed all of our tax dollars. Then it turns out that Ukraine is one of the most corrupt nations in the world, with literal Nazi military forces, and it was actually just a money laundering operation to steal from the American taxpayer. You want to defend Ukraine's borders more than our own. You sent hundreds of billions of dollars on the other side of the planet while Americans are suffering, all based on more lies. Then there's the whole Epstein Diddy human trafficking element. You all told us vehemently that human trafficking was a myth. You told us the border was secure. And you told us that anyone who questioned it was an irredeemable conspiracy theorist. You said anyone who watched Sound of Freedom was a QAnon extremist and threat to democracy. Then it turned out to be true, and the elites really are engaged in unspeakable crimes against children. After you all told us for decades this was not true, you covered up the most heinous crimes imaginable for political gain. Now, he continues that he could do this for days, but I think you get the point. The American people are awake to the scam and the true evil going on around us, and we're not going to stand for it anymore. So we hired Donald Trump and his team of patriots to rectify the situation and bring America back to her greatness. This is the reality of the situation. You are the bad guys, and you have been deceived. The sooner you wake up to it, the sooner you can join us in repairing this nation. Or you can choose to deny reality and spend the rest of your lives consumed by hate based on lies. The choice is yours. Exactly. That is exactly right. And let's carry on. Another one I found this morning. Who are the real Nazis? Luis says Democrats are the real Nazis, the party of coercion, the party of censorship, the party that mandated experimental injections, the party of pharmaceutical tyranny. So, in January of 2022, here's what Democrats wanted to do in a poll: fine the unvaccinated. Almost 60% of Democrats, 55% of Democrats said yes to fine the unvaccinated. Lock unvaccinated at home, almost 60%. Send unvaccinated to quarantine camps. About 45% of Democrats said yes, we should send unvaccinated to quarantine camps. Take children from unvaccinated parents. 30% of Democrats actually said to take your children from unvaccinated parents, and fine and imprison critics of the vaccine was at almost 50% of Democrats. And who are the real Nazis again? Yeah, they show it time and time again. And let's not forget all the stuff that they put us through during that whole pandemic nonsense. All right. We're going to take a listen to Trump here talking about what he's going to do, and it's going to happen quickly. Let's see what he has to say. Have I got the volume up? Let's turn the volume up. All right, here we go.
The left-wing gender insanity being pushed on our children is an act of child abuse. Very simple. Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children.
Uh-oh. Doctors are going to be pretty nervous about that one.
The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. Under my leadership, this madness will end. Thank you very much.
Sounds pretty good to me, but I think on day one, he's off and running, that's for sure. But on day one, I think the first thing should be close the border. And the second thing should be repealing the immunity from liability that Big Pharma has. And then do this. That'd be great. But Trump, that came out today. He's already going after it. All right, let's see what we got next here that I found a perfect example of leftist logic. Oh, yeah, this deleted post belongs in the Smithsonian. So this girl, Moni, at Moni CAA. Oh, by the way, middle schoolers can't read. High schoolers can't write a proper essay. College students can't differentiate a scholarly based article versus propaganda. And adults can't tell when a picture is AI. But sure, get rid of the Department of Education. LOL. There could not be a better cell phone than this. This is the exact reasons why we should get rid of the Department of Education. Middle schoolers can't read. High schoolers can't write an essay. College students can't differentiate. She wrote those out thinking she was being really cute. I bet she was real thinking how witty and clever and smart she is when she hit send or post on this one. Absolutely makes the perfect case for why we should get rid of the Department of Education. Oops, this post has been deleted. I wonder what it was that convinced her that she had made the case for getting rid of them instead of what she thought was a great argument for keeping the Department of Education. All right, we've got some more to take a look at here. If Jonestown had recorded a final video, Tom Elliott says. So let's take a listen to this. This is going to be kind of cool. It's leftists with their excuses about everything.
The worst version of a Donald Trump administration is very, very bad.
One that is not only extremist, but also effective in that extremism.
Emboldened by a series of Supreme Court rulings, perhaps bolstered by support in both houses of Congress, Trump will fulfill his promise to be a dictator on day one.
He sends troops into neighborhoods like my own to try to round up undocumented immigrants.
Perfect. Can't wait for that to happen. And they're not undocumented, they're illegal. They committed a felony. Their very first act in trying to get into the United States was commit a felony. Yeah, we want those people gone.
That he sets up a network of camps.
Mass deportations. It would likely plunge the United States into something like a recession. His tariffs, likewise, promise to spike prices for most Americans.
This is their new talking point because Trump is talking about ending the income tax. And so they're and installing tariffs instead of the income tax for everybody, which I think would be fantastic. But their new talking points is tariffs are going to make prices go up
And cause costs to go up dramatically.
That version of Trump could result in abandoning Ukraine to advancing Russian armies, could result in extraordinarily erratic foreign policy in the Middle East.
I mean, Donald Trump often talked about things like bombing Mexico to deal with drug cartels. People stopped him from doing that.
But there's not going to be any adults in the room this time.
The worst version of a Trump administration seeks various forms of retribution against Trump's enemies, real and perceived.
He uses the power given to him to harass and undermine his political opposition.
This leads to substantial resistance, mass protest, and also drives his enemies into a cycle of radicalization, intensifying unrest and conflict.
And in the process, doing profound and possibly permanent damage to American democracy.
Basically, when nothing...
Remember, when they say damage to democracy, replace that word with bureaucracy, and that's what they really mean. Here's a guy you want to take information from.
We can do by voting or using our existing institutions will reverse the consolidation of power.
They are democracy ending if
bureaucracy ending
really manifests in the ways that he and other conservatives have discussed them.
And I have a great fear that that's exactly what's going to happen over the next 4 years.
The worst.
Well, there you have it. That's the leftists and all their... if Jonestown had recorded a final video. The doom and gloom that awaits us with the next Trump administration, according to the leftist. All right, here's an interesting thing. People are starting to see that what happened in 2020 was not... You can't explain it, okay? I went over this before, and it's worth looking at again. Obama got 69 million votes. Kamala got 68 million votes. But they want us to believe that Potato Head Biden somehow got 81 million votes and won, despite losing nearly every bellwether county. They raided our homes and sent us to jail for asking where those extra 13 million votes came from. So a bellwether county, I think there's like 19 counties. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 different counties. And as you can see, in 1984, Reagan won all 17 of those counties and won the presidency. In 1988, Bush won all but 2 of them and won the presidency. In 1992, Clinton won all but 1 of the bellwether counties and won the presidency. In 1996, Clinton won 100% of the bellwether counties and won the presidency. Same with Bush in 2000. Bush again in 2004 won them all except 1. Obama in 2008 won them all except 1. Obama in 2012 won them all. Trump in 2016 won them all. Trump in 2020 won every bellwether county except 1. And Biden won the presidency. You see how this works there? In 2024, Trump won all but 2 of them and won the presidency. Where did those 13 million votes go that were there for Joe in 2020? Something's not adding up here, folks. And people are starting to figure it out. You look at this chart of what's happened all the way back to 1984. And something is not adding up with 81 million votes in 2020 when they both got 69 and 68 recently. I think people are starting to see it, even the Democrats. All right, now let's see. We got the media, our mainstream media, who cannot be trusted to tell the truth about anything. True Stream Media says we live in a country where the same mainstream outlets that are causing people psychological distress also happen to take billions of dollars in ad revenue from pharmaceutical companies, some of which are literally in the business of selling psych meds. So here's a little bit of a display of who is on your television and who is sponsoring them. In other words, giving them millions, if not billions, of dollars.
Is brought to you by Pfizer. CBS Health Watch sponsored by Pfizer. Anderson Cooper 360. Brought to you by Pfizer.
ABC News Nightline. Brought to you by Pfizer. Making a difference. Brought to you by Pfizer.
CNN Tonight. Brought to you by Pfizer. Early Start. Brought to you by Pfizer. Friday night on Aaron Burnett Out Front. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This Week with George Stephanopoulos is brought to you by Pfizer.
This weather report brought to you by Pfizer.
Today's countdown to the royal wedding is brought to you by Pfizer.
And now a CBS Sports Update brought to you by Pfizer.
Meet the Press Data Download brought to you by Pfizer.
This portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by Pfizer.
On how to find the hidden sugars in the American family diet. Sponsored by Pfizer.
There's the best one. Talking about health and your sugar intake. Sponsored by Pfizer. Hopefully that's another thing that is going bye-bye. Is they banned promoting cigarettes and tobacco. They need to do the same thing with pharmaceuticals. It's ridiculous. Okay, the Vigilant Fox has 10 shocking stories that the media buried today. Joe Rogan raises serious questions about Biden's 81 million votes. Let's hear what Joe Rogan has to say about this. Because I'm raising serious questions too. And here's the chart that I showed yesterday, where they got the same amount of votes 3 out of 4 times, but then boom, Biden in 2020. People are waking up.
What do you think about that thing I sent you today that compares the number of people that voted in 2020 versus the number of people that voted in 2024 and in 2016?
Sure does look strange.
And in 2012. Have you seen it, Jamie? Yeah. It's so crazy. You look at it and you go, is this real? Oh, here it is. Because it doesn't seem to make any sense, because this is like one of the most consequential elections ever. I think everybody's pretty aware of that, and everybody is very dug in on their side. The left, he's Hitler. The right, he's saving us. And so more people voted, at least the indication would be, as much people voted in 2020, if not more. Probably more people voted. But let's look at the numbers. Like, look at the difference in how many people voted for Biden in 2020. It's unprecedented. It's way higher than any other time since 2012, and I'm sure probably before that there was less people back then, right? So if you go back to when I was a kid, there was only like 200 million people in this country.
Yeah, and to be clear, 2012 and 2016 were not low turnout years.
No, they're all consistent. Yeah. This is what's crazy. They're consistent. Look, they're all like 60. Look at where the number is. It's all like 65 million. Is that what it says? Mm-hmm. So that's all the same every fucking time except 2020. In 2020, it goes way the fuck up. Look at it. It's like 80 what? Is it 82? Is that what it was?
It's like 81 and change.
81. Yeah. So it goes up a fucking sizable chunk.
Yeah, exactly. And I just realized my freaking microphone has been off this whole time. So the whole first 20-some minutes of this You guys couldn't even hear me. Okay, well, this is not going to be a video that I'm going to leave up, but for the rest of this, I'm going to have my microphone on. What a concept. Okay, story number 9. Chris Cuomo shuts down Maxine Waters' attempt to blame racism for Kamala's crushing defeat. Of course. Let's see what and how can you believe that people re-elected Maxine Waters again? So the people in California, you re-elected Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and Maxine Waters. What have they done for California? There's no way. California is still needs big time audits of their election system. But anyway, here's what Representative Maxine Waters has to say on Trump's re-election.
What is the lesson that your party should have learned?
Well, the Democratic Party worked very hard, and they raised, substantial sum of money. We had great candidates, and so Trump had a following, basically generally led by whites. White males voted in big numbers. He had a few from the other race groups that joined in, like the Latinos at 45%, and black men at about the same rate that they did when they voted for him before, at about 20%. That combination won. And so it is not that Democrats did not work hard, did not do a great job. We had an unusual situation where we had a black woman, which this country has never seen before. A combination of all of those things.
She is always just, everything's about race. And by the way, Kamala Harris is not a black woman. Candace Owens figured this out. Her grandmother, Kamala Harris' grandmother, is an Irish woman, a white Irish woman. Her father is Jamaican. Her mother is Indian. She's not a black woman. And they carry on with this racism thing. Oh, it's because of the whites and the Latinos and the blacks, because they're racist. That's all they have. That's all they have. And it's not winning anymore. People are tired of it. And it's frankly stupid.
Led to his win.
I will not push back on the idea that race and sex matter in American politics. I think they do. I don't know that it was the controlling variable, and you don't suggest otherwise. To me, it seemed to be that the Democrats thought Trump stinks is enough. And Senator Bernie Sanders said something that reminded me of you, which is why I wanted you on the show tonight, Maxine, which is Democratic Party used to be, we are all about doing for working people. That's what we do. That's what Mario Cuomo's party, that's what Maxine Waters' party was. You are now seen as not that, even by Bernie Sanders.
Well, that kind of ended weirdly. But once again, Maxine Waters, just everything is race. Story number 8 that the media buried. MSNBC's Stephanie Ruhle sends a chilling message. A warning that Americans have fucked around and are now about to find out. Oh, really? Okay.
Information become the accepted information. It is washed over us. Elon Musk, he buys Twitter, and then he uses it almost exclusively to be a propaganda machine, and we've accepted it. We've accepted a narrative that despite an actually great economic recovery, the vibes don't feel good. So we want to reject it and get something else.
Have you been to the grocery store? Of course not. You don't have to go do your own shopping. This woman makes millions of dollars. How would she know anything about groceries and gasoline and paying rent and the problems that are actually affecting real everyday Americans, not these elites in Washington? She has no clue.
And the person we are now betting on to change all of it is Donald Trump, a man who did 2 almost impossible things. He won the American presidency twice, and he drove a casino into the ground.
And he beat women both times, which is hilarious to me. And she said he ran a casino into the ground. Well, Stephanie Rule, I don't mind if somebody loses their own money and has to go into bankruptcy. I don't like when the government spends our money, your money into the ground. How many trillions are we in debt now? And she's worried about Trump, who bankrupted a casino with his own money, I might add.
What will the future hold now that America has just decided that we're going to F around and find out?
Well, you'll find out, Stephanie, how wrong you are, but you'll never admit it. Story number 7, TikToker perfectly articulates why Kamala Harris lost the election. All right, let's hear this word.
Did not.
Let me see, is this too big? All right, let's see what she says.
Kamala Harris did not lose this election because she's a woman. She lost this election because there were American families sitting there telling her how they couldn't afford to put food in their fridge, and her solution was to bring out Meg Thee Stallion to twerk on stage alongside just about every single one of P. Diddy's friends to endorse her. She lost this election because there were Americans who lost everything in an absolutely horrific hurricane, and she sat there telling them that $750 should be enough for them if they even qualify, while simultaneously funding illegals staying in 5-star hotels in New York City, receiving 3 meals a day provided to them by taxpayer dollars. She lost this election because she sat there talking about how anti-racism she was, while simultaneously blaming straight white men for just about every single problem this country has. Isn't it funny that if you demonize a group of people long enough for merely existing, they might not want to vote for you? American politics has changed forever. You will no longer be able to sit there and bully Americans into voting for you. It won't work. Unfortunately, our politicians on both sides seem to forget that they are actually public servants. They answer to the public, not the other way around. And they need to get behind that. They need to understand that, and they need to change and reform their policies to fit what the public is saying, or they will get left in the dust, as Kamala learned the hard way yesterday.
Very good. And I'm encouraged to see young people being this awake and talking complete common sense, and that's exactly what happened. She's exactly right. Number 6, Jimmy Kimmel chokes back tears in an emotional meltdown as he struggles to process Donald Trump's landslide victory. Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, I'm not going to listen to this fool, but he's crying. Here's a grown man on TV, has a night show, and he's crying because Donald Trump won the presidency. These people are emotionally unstable. General Flynn delivers a bone-chilling post-election warning. I got a warning. Don't trust this guy. Don't trust General Flynn. I'll leave it at that. Number 4, top 5 big pharma CEOs hold an emergency meeting after Trump's landslide victory. I'll bet. I bet they got a lot of stuff going on. And I noticed Moderna and Pfizer stocks both fell considerably yesterday and today. MSNBC's Rachel Maddow calls on the military, the media, and millions of Americans to resist Trump. So, yesterday was, okay, we lost, but we need to have unity. That's gone. We weren't going to give you unity anyway. Number 2, a new peer-reviewed study calls for immediate global moratorium on the old whatchamacallits. Good. That's coming too. Get rid of them. Number 1, Trump vows to put an end to gender-affirming care starting on day 1. Oh, yeah, okay, we saw that one. We saw that one earlier. All right. I think that's it on what I wanted to cover. And now let's just go ahead and go over to X itself and see what we can see happening right now. Yeah, Trump won Arizona finally. Wall Street Ape says, brace yourself, Canada. Reports show now that Donald Trump is planning the largest deportation project in history. Illegal migrants are starting to flee north. Well, that's an interesting development. I didn't think about that. Yeah, once they start deportation, they are going to go in droves over the border into Canada. I wonder how people from South America and Africa and those nations that are walking across our border, what they'll think about the nice cold winter they're heading into right now. Interesting. Let's see what this says.
Some of them will seek refuge further north before Trump takes power.
I win on November 5th, the migrant invasion ends and the restoration of our country begins.
A promise Donald Trump says he'll keep by deporting millions of undocumented immigrants.
Once again, not undocumented, illegal. Your first action as a person trying to get into our country is a felony, not undocumented, illegal.
There's concern some of them will seek refuge further north before Trump takes power.
Okay, we just heard that. Was he going to repeat himself the whole time? Brian Krasenstein, we need more education and critical thinking skills, not less. Well, Brian, you know, more education equals more indoctrination. The more educated you are, the more lack of common sense I have found you have. Book smart equals street dumb. There you have it. All right. What's your best argument that Trump's going to keep his promises? My best argument that Trump is going to keep his promises is that he has a whole different team this time. You got to remember, although Trump was part of the circle of the people that, you know, deal with each other, he was never a politician. He was a builder, a real estate mogul. When he came into power in 2016, first of all, I didn't think they knew they were going to win. I think he was surprised that he won. And then the rhinos in the Republican Party, the uniparty, they're all one big bird, two wings of the same bird. The uniparty ambushed his every move. Paul Ryan, if you recall, was the Speaker of the House at that time. For Trump's first 2 years, they had the House and the Senate, just like they have again now. The difference is Paul Ryan and John McCain were in the House and Senate fighting every single thing that Trump did tooth and nail. That is the difference of what's going on between 2016 and 2024. Now he has a team with Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. and Vivek and Elon Musk with J.D. Vance as his vice president. We're going to install somebody as Speaker of the House that is America first. Hopefully, they're already trying to pull shenanigans in the Senate, but hopefully we can also get an America first majority leader in the Senate. And that will be the difference for why Trump will keep his promises this time around. Big difference in personnel. Dr. Sunil, banning all pharma commercials on television could not come soon enough. Yeah, exactly right. Uh-oh. Here we go.
Evan?
This should be funny. White dudes for Harris are devastated. From libs of TikTok. Okay, so this is a white. Oh my goodness. Who told these people they would be a good idea for an old man to decide that he's actually a woman? All right, let's listen to what these people say.
Good morning. It is November 7th, Thursday, and got my lipstick on today, so I'm a little bit more together. We're putting a plan together. I cannot live in a country that voted for Trump. I cannot spend another 4 years under that man. And so we have made the decision that we are leaving.
Perfect.
We're putting a plan together. Our plan is to go back to Australia, and by back, that is where obviously Tam and our daughter Jordan was from. I'm working on immigration.
That's hilarious. That's perfect because Australia is kind of like Canada. They're both gone. And the UK. Now, will this wave that has started in the United States continue and flow over to UK and Australia and Canada? Who knows? But yeah, you should go to Canada or Australia or the UK and you'll be fine.
Paperwork for spousal visa. I'll probably end up going over on a tourist visa initially because the spousal visa takes a while. I'll probably have to leave at some point.
I thought this was going to be different people. I ain't listening to this guy for 2 minutes. All right. Goodbye. Good riddance. See you later. What do you call that shit hanging from the trees? Oh, I think they call it kudzu. It's taken over. Raw alert. New York City has just announced that they're ending its food vouchers for migrants. Wow. New York City has announced it will no longer provide vouchers to migrants for food, ending a pilot program that had faced repeated criticism from conservatives and others. Interesting.
No longer issue vouchers to migrants to pay for food, ending a controversial program that had repeatedly come under attack by conservatives and others.
This pilot program in New York City, drenched in both humanity and controversy, distributed debit cards to migrant families staying in city-funded hotels and allowing them to buy their own food. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger following the breaking news for us.
How come people who come to this country illegally, that's the most important part. They're not supposed to be here. There are people that do it legally and they have to wait 5-7 years or maybe even longer. And they certainly aren't handed debit cards so they can buy their own food. This guy, are you kidding me? What about all our homeless veterans? Are they going around and finding those guys and handing them debit cards with thousands of dollars on there so they can buy their own food? What a piece of shit this guy right here is. I'd like to find that.
Josh?
Well, Bill, it's a program that, as you say, generated plenty of controversy, but now its absence may raise even more questions. The so-called Immediate Response Cards pilot program was designed to help feed migrant families who'd found themselves in New York with no way to afford food. The one-year contract.
Too bad. They came here illegally. Go back to where you came from. They're gonna, or head to Canada.
Contract provided what the city described as culturally relevant food to 2,600 migrant families, allowing them to basically buy what they wanted. A family of 4 with two kids under 5 got about $350 per week to cover food in a program the city.
Okay, let's do a little quick math there. That joker just said that these people get $350 a week to buy food, and they're here illegally. And they're staying in a hotel that is paid for by you also. $350 a week. That's $1,400 a month. That's more than a lot of people get on their Social Security who have paid into that their entire lifetime. The people of North Carolina got $750 one-time payment, and it's a loan. The people of Maui got $700 one-time payment, and it's a loan. These people, these illegal migrants, are given transportation to these hotels in New York where they're put up in a hotel and given $1,400 a month so they can have food. We need deportation to start on January 20th.
He said would actually save taxpayers millions a year. It also reduced food waste. You may remember the food the city had been providing in migrant shelters was seen as not culturally sensitive to the needs of some migrant groups, and it ended up just going to waste.
So the migrants didn't like what they were given being served, and they called it culturally. What did he just say? We got to hear that again.
With two kids under 5, got about $350 per week to cover food in a program the city said would actually save taxpayers millions a year.
The city said it will actually save taxpayers millions a year. Okay.
It also reduced food waste. You may remember the food the city had been providing in migrant shelters was seen as not culturally sensitive to the
culturally sensitive. The food that they were providing to them was deemed not culturally sensitive to these illegal migrants, this invasion of people into our country. Unbelievable. All right, let's carry on. Some Democrat voters are realizing they may have been wrong and in an echo chamber. Let's see what this lady has to say. They're starting to figure it out.
So I turned on Fox News just to see what's going on over there, right? And the main thing they were saying was that Kamala lost this election because Democrats were not willing to.
Is a nose ring mandatory wear now for leftist women? Sorry to interrupt, but every time I see a nose ring, what is the allure of the nose ring? Anyway, okay.
Lost this election because Democrats were not willing to listen to what the mass majority of Americans wanted. And that might be true because I genuinely thought that most of the world was for, not the world, most of America was for Kamala. I really thought that. Not being facetious in any way, I genuinely was riding that blue wave and felt like we were really unified in that. Obviously I was aware of the MAGA presence, but I didn't quite realize just how massive it was. So the point of this video is just to open the floor to any of you that support Trump that want to maybe articulate to me what it is about him and his campaign that feels like the right decision for America. I'm genuinely willing to listen. I'm not going to argue with any of you. I just want to give an opportunity for some of you to express what you see as the reality.
This is excellent because there's going to be more people like this that are figuring out that when they watch mainstream media and especially CNN and MSNBC, they've been lied to. And they've been lied to for years. And now they're starting to see it. They're starting to figure it out. And all that's going to happen is the America First coalition and movement is going to just grow and grow and grow. It's good to see young people and other people opening their minds a little bit. Democrats want to know how to win an election in 2 easy steps. Don't coerce Americans to take experimental injections. Don't violate freedom of speech. Seems okay to me. Trump has just named Susie Wiles, named in the Jack Smith indictment, which all those charges have been dropped, by the way, his White House chief of staff. I don't know Susie Wiles. Wiles was identified as PAC representative and special counsel Jack Smith's indictment against the former President Trump. Okay, well, those indictments, I guess that's her right there. Those indictments have now been dropped. Funny how that works, huh? Scott Adams says his new guilty pleasure is watching Democrats learn nothing from the election loss, which makes sense because if they could spot the problem, they would have fixed it long ago. Yeah, they're blind to their own bubble. They don't see anything. Well, we'll wait to see. Health Ranger says highly disturbing if true is RFK Jr. being demoted. Now he won't be in charge of HHS. Why? Because this fake doctor says so. Dr. Jane Ruby is a fake doctor. Don't trust the word she says. All right. Just in, the FBI says that they're aware and investigating racist text messages being sent to people in several states. What? Oh, good to see the FBI is on the job. Okay, all these professors at the universities, none of them are teachers. Teachers and professors have all been replaced with activists. Every one of these left-wing universities, their teachers are not teachers. There is no education going on. It's indoctrination. And it's from professors like this guy who are actually just activists. They've all been replaced with activists. When I went to school, nobody knew the teachers' sexual preferences. You didn't even know if they were married or not. I guess you did if it was Miss or Mrs. That would be the only way you would know. They didn't tell you their sexual preferences and a boy can be a girl. I mean, it is so out of hand. It is so insanely lunatic. It's got to be fixed. The Tibetan sandfox carries the same resting expression as a wife who has just heard her husband's latest joke. Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, 2 days later, they're saying Trump is already distancing himself from RFK. This is just a propaganda that's coming out now. Get used to it. It's going to be like that for 4 years unless we can completely get rid of the mainstream media. Yeah, no more food vouchers for illegals in New York. They'll be leaving there in droves. The fraud that's currently taking place in Arizona may be the key that opens the floodgates to 2020. I hope so. Should we all just forgive Mike Pompeo and move on? Absolutely not. Do not let this rhino piece of crap anywhere near the new administration. All right, let's see. For all the liberals losing their mind over Donald Trump victory, which part of the changes coming to America do you hate the most? Lower grocery prices? Lower fuel prices? Lower energy costs? No more toxic chemicals, heavy metals, or pesticides in your foods? No more spraying our skies with harmful toxins? No more fluoride in our water? Ending the big pharma, big food, and FDA racket of poisoning us and to keeping us sick for profit? Smaller government equals more rights, not less. Stopping China buying our farmland. Bringing business manufacturing back to the U.S. equals more jobs, higher wages, better quality products. Lower taxes. Stopping BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street from buying all our homes. Lower housing and rental costs. Lower interest rates. Saving free speech. Honest, transparent communication from the White House about what's going on and the direction of our country. No wars. No more military industrial complex forever, war money laundering machine. Department of Government efficiency. cutting wasteful government spending, free in vitro fertilization, focusing on the American family and having American babies, deporting millions of criminals, increasing legal qualified immigration, a focus on natural health that's been suppressed for a century so big pharma can monopolize synthetic treatments, rebuilding America's infrastructure, healthy agriculture and bringing the cattle industry back to America, stopping illegals from eating our cats, dogs, and pets, stopping the government from killing pet squirrels, building a wall, securing our border to keep you safe, ending illegal immigration, increasing energy production, even lower energy prices, tariffs that will bring jobs back and bring down inflation by paying off debt, stronger law enforcement support, reducing regulation so Americans can thrive and even reach Mars, education reform, giving you back the power to decide what your children should be learning, combating the opioid crisis, calling credit card interest rates. Calling credit card interest rates? That's probably cutting. Backing cryptocurrency, giving the people more financial freedom to make decisions on how they invest and spend money. Protecting women by banning trans men in women's sports. Promises the largest economic growth boom in history. Yeah, what about that is the leftists complaining about that? I'm going to bookmark that one and save it for later. That's pretty good. There was one thing in here I thought, and now it's gone because I can't remember. There's so much shit there. Anyway, I don't know which one of those are they against. Liberals want Trump supporters to be branded in public to warn others. Where have we seen this before? These are the people who have called us fascists and a threat to their bureaucracy. Remember, anytime they say democracy, replace it with bureaucracy. I don't really care what that woman has to say about anything. Have you seen, speaking of women like this, they're all over TikTok today. A lot of them are shaving their heads. A lot of them are saying they're not going to have sex with their boyfriends or whoever for the next 4 years if they have anything to do with Trump. They said they're going to get little blue wristbands and put them on so that when you see another woman with a blue wristband, you'll know they're safe. This is the stuff that these people are coming up with, and you know what? I'm all for it. Mark yourselves. Wear your little blue wristband. Shave your heads. Don't have sex with anybody. That way you won't be needing abortions. All you'll do is mark yourself so that the smart men out there know what you're all about and can avoid you at any cost. Because all these women that are for abortion, it's very simple. Let them have all the abortions they want. The people that are against abortion are not going to get abortions. They're going to have children and raise families. The people that are for abortion are the same people that I don't want reproducing anyway. So that's a win-win in my book. They eliminate themselves over time. Perfect. Let it happen. Okay, let's see what else we can find here before we wrap this up. And I apologize again for my microphone being off for the first fucking 20 minutes of this live stream. That's going to make a lot of people want to watch it, isn't it? What a dumbass. Anyway, let's see if we can find something else. The Kamala HQ team looks exactly as you would expect. I would expect them to look something like that. Let's see how close we are. They sent a handful of DEI Starbucks baristas to take on an army of autists. Better luck next time. Parker Butler says, I am so proud of the team behind Kamala HQ. This crew revolutionized rapid response on social media and left it all on the field. Okay, Parker Butler. I followed Kamala HQ just to see the nonsense that they were putting out there. it was just as expected. And there you go. Yeah, pretty much. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to touch anything to do with. I think that's why they removed a video of mine the other day. I said the wrong thing. Can't do that. Police are advising South Carolina residents to secure their doors and windows after 40 monkeys escaped from a research facility. And to think I moved away from New York for this? 40 monkeys have escaped a research facility. How do 40 monkeys? I can see like one or two snuck out, something weird happened or whatever. How did they lose 40? I think it was actually 43 monkeys. They're just prepping for the next bullshit virus nonsense. All right, let's see. Run, Forrest, run. Tom Hanks has left the United States. Bye. Take about a couple dozen of your Hollywood idiot celebrity friends with you.
Which
let's
hear
what this fine, handsome lad has to say.
But let me also point out something more strange, which has been happening at the same time and it hasn't had as much attention. The day before Trump made those remarks on Friday.
Never mind. I can't do her. Whatever. You have to look that one up for yourself. Okay, let's see what else we got here. This is something about the CDC and planning quarantine camps nationwide. Yeah, there's talk that Trump, with his warp speed thingamajig, was actually part of a plan to keep everything from being locked down. Because as you know, a normal thingamajig takes 8 to 10 and sometimes even 12 years of clinical trials before it's fully approved. Well, guess what? All the people that got it, they are the clinical trial. And there is talk that there were supposed to be quarantine camps nationwide. And this is what this article is about from this, that the CDC planned. Who knows? I don't know if any of that is true or not. Breaking. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell just defiantly told a reporter that if Trump tries to fire him, he can't. Powell is right. You want to know why Powell is right? Because the Federal Reserve is not part of our government. You people that watch my videos probably know this. There's nothing federal. They are not federal and they have no reserves. The Federal Reserve is 12 banks owned by an elite banker cabal. In other words, the Jews. No one will be able to say that either soon. That are nothing to do with the United States. That's why they don't care who the president is. That's why these people are often selected. Because the person that runs the money system is actually the people that are in charge of our government. AIPAC is the largest political action committee and it's the Nation of Israel's Action Committee, Political Action Committee. They are the only nation that does not have to register under the FARA, F-A-R-A agreement as a foreign agent, and they contribute money under the table to both Republicans and Democrats, and they own them. And they have also infiltrated and set up offices in what are called NGOs, non-government organizations, and they're in charge of all of them. And these are the people that actually run the government. Unnamed, unknown, and unelected. And it all starts with one country, and that country is Israel. And that's why Jerome Powell says, you can't fire me. So there you have it. And with that, we are going to wrap up today's live stream. And I apologize. Russell Lang says, and how long would it take to make billions of doses? Allow 1 second for each and do them. Yeah, exactly right, Russell. No one thinks about that. This has all been done ahead of time. Exactly right, Russell. And again, I apologize for not having my microphone on for the first 20 minutes of this live stream. I will try to do better tomorrow. I'll see you guys again tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And that's going to do it for today. You guys have a great night. Aloha.